Let's do a quick video on the history of the bump stock because the story is getting old enough to where people entering the 2A community today don't know the significance behind the plastic gun accessory that blew the hinges off the door for the ATF to come in and start passing ridiculous laws. And you may be asking, wait a second, the ATF isn't a legislative branch of the government. How are they making laws? And that's a really good question. Well, and one of the most important things you need to understand is to help support this channel is to shop at OnlyTacticalFans.com, where you can purchase some of these badass PVC patches, and any order you make over $50 gets you a free blemish hat. And this new patch that I just dropped, Hunter 2024. So let's get back to the story. In 2018, right after the Las Vegas shooting, nearly 20 years after bump stocks were invented, over a decade after the ATF declared them legal, and the then current president Donald Trump instructed the ATF to ignore the legislative process and determine bump stocks to be illegal at any cost. The ATF decided to change the definition of a machine gun to encompass non-mechanical bump stocks. Now, whether you support them or not support them, that still is a little messed up. I think we can all agree on that. This effectively banned bump stocks from the hands of millions of Americans, turning them into felons on the run. For those of you out of the loop, a bump stock utilizes the recoil of the gun to re-engage the trigger to force another bullet, using the recoil to push the trigger into your finger. After the ban, Michael Cargill, being the law-abiding gun owner he is, forfeited his bump stocks, opting to sue the ATF for their return instead of harboring illegal weapons. 5 years later, after his bump stocks were undoubtedly violated by countless grimy ATF agents, the Fifth Circuit resolved the case in his favor, hopefully soon leading to the return of his beloved bump stocks at the undoubted expense of years of couples therapy. Be sure to keep them in your prayers. Continuing on. Traditionally, a machine gun was any weapon which shoots automatically more than one bullet by a single function of the trigger. Essentially, holding the trigger down fires continuously until it is released. As I stated earlier, a bump stock requires one press of the trigger for each bullet fired, so it clearly does not fit the definition of a machine gun. However, the ATF decided to modify that definition to fire multiple bullets with a single function of the finger, banning bump stocks because they pushed the trigger into a stationary finger. Thankfully, the Cargill courts caught on to this nonsense interpretation and told the ATF the word finger isn't mentioned once in the statute and they cannot add words to laws. Chevron deference for once didn't apply. A machine gun is not a gun which fires multiple bullets with a single function of the trigger finger, but with a single function of the trigger itself. For some reason, this took our ineffective court system 5 years to figure out and put millions of bump stock owners who had no idea of their newly interpreted illegality at risk of being put in prison. So that's the meat and potatoes on how the bump stocks became legal again. Well, in the Fifth Circuit, which is just 3 states. The ATF tried basically to ban something completely innocent and was eventually shut down. Good job, Patriots. We won in the Fifth Circuit. Remember, guys, the legislature can ban whatever it wants as long as it can create a definition which holds up to Supreme Court scrutiny. And this is exactly what happened with the Controlled Substance Act. Congress declared specific drugs were illegal. Then designer drugs were invented to skirt around the law. Changing one molecule of a drug made it something different. Something not within the definition of the Controlled Substance Act and completely legal. So what did Congress do? They created a new act, the Controlled Substance Analogy Enforcement Act, which banned any drugs substantially similar to already banned drugs. Is this the path Congress will take to ban the bump stocks yet again? I don't know. To create a new law which bans any weapon from operating in a manner substantially similar to a machine gun. God, I hope not. And that was the beginning of the end of the ATF following the rules and the Attorney General who then delegated that authority to the ATF. Was that constitutional? I really don't think so. Essentially moving the separation of power and allowing the ATF to act anonymously. Like, here you go. You can make up any law and arrest people for breaking it. Which is ideal for removing the people who criticize you or piss you off, like in this case. The squeaky wheel gets not the cheese, but a new law. Custom tailored just for you. So, like we have seen in multiple cases, my husband included, they have no power flexing the powers they've been granted. What I'm hoping for is the Supreme Court will finally grant cert to a bump stock case and correct this massive travesty of justice and reinstate separation of powers, because if we can even save just one dog's life, we've created a better future for our children. So yeah, if you guys like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and comment and subscribe. And also, if you'd like to continue to help support me and my family in this channel, check out the description down below, because there'll be a Patreon, Amazon link, and even though you click on that link and you don't shop for what you see in that thing, just because you clicked off my link, I get a little kickback from it. And there's also like Givesendgos and stuff to continue to help fight for all this and support our family. And also onlytacticalfans.com, where you can get this new Hunter 2024. Thank you guys so much. Peace. We shoot. Copy. I see what you did that last video, and dude. No way, Jose. Whatever you want to do in this video, let's get it out now. Okay? Oh, you're ignoring me. Lovely. Hunter 2020. So, then this effect. So it clearly. Chunkalicious. Go. Stationary finger. That's it. With a single function of the trigger finger. Kiki, stop. Get down. Excuse me. Better out than in, they say. But sometimes it's better in than out, they say. You picked up my drift? Man, I need my husband.